Dudley Evenson. Welcome to my Sacred Laundry Room. Today I want to share a little bit about depression and how to consider, or some ways to consider dealing with depression. One of the first things I'd like to point out is that if someone that you know has depression or is depressed, one of the least helpful things you can do to say to them is get over it, or just in your mind, or oh, just it'll be fine, or forget it, or it's not real. Because for the person that is in the middle of it, it is very real, and it's a deep, gripping emotion that can really hold us back. So I am not depressed at this point in my life, but I have been depressed at several other points. And what I learned during those times was that it was the most heavy, intense time I could imagine, to just have this constant nagging negativity going on in my head. The first time it happened to me, I was in college, and it kind of surprised me because I had never been a particularly depressed person, but a couple of things happened and I just sort of let them get to me, and then I just went into this funk. And it was like a dark tunnel. I didn't think I'd ever come out of it. It was just one of those like eternal things I thought it was going to be with me forever. And the good news is it wasn't an eternal thing. It was something that eventually did go away. And I don't think I did anything in particular except just kind of wait it out. And sometimes that is about all you can do. I didn't really have a lot of tools in my early days of ways to overcome depression. When I became older, I had some other experiences where I had been kind of traveling around the world. I ended up living back in New York by myself, and it was the first time I'd ever lived alone, and that wasn't a bad thing. In fact, it was a good thing. But I wasn't going to college, I wasn't going to school, I wasn't traveling, I wasn't having a job. I had a sort of a part-time job, so I didn't have a thing I had to do. And I kind of began to look at myself like, well, who am I? I didn't think I even had any opinions that were my own. I thought everything I thought came from somebody else. And I was like, well, who am I? What is it that makes me me? And so I did a lot of searching, soul searching during that time period. And I even checked out a book about the brain or the mind and trying to understand how it works. I wanted to become more of a creative person. I wanted to feel more self-confident. And there were just a number of things that I wanted to improve in myself, and I didn't really see it ever happening. I remember I went by around the corner from my house was a little Hare Krishna temple, and they were singing their music and passing out their literature. And I brought one of their beautiful booklets home, and pictures of Krishna and spiritual and all this. And I thought, wow, spiritual. That hadn't even been part of my lexicon. So I began to search for my own sense of who I am in relationship to spirit. And I certainly did not become a Hare Krishna devotee or anything like that, but it was something that just sort of stimulated me. I'd always been a sort of a spiritual person, good Christian girl growing up. And then as time went on, I was really, both Dean Evenson, my husband, and I were searching for the way we fit in to the overall thing. We'd come from our own background, and then just times were changing. This was in the late 60s and 70s, so we were really being exposed to a lot of different spiritual paths. So that was kind of probably what took me out of that particular funk. And then later on in life, I had an intense time where our business had been going up for many years, then it started to go down, and we had a very large staff, and there were just a lot of issues and things involved with me as so-called a manager, owner, and I don't think I was as mature as I am now, but it was difficult. And just in interpersonal things, I was always trying to fix things. And then I also thought, well, if I work harder, I'll save the business. I worked harder. And then I really got myself sick. And I got I started having dizzy spells and nausea, and I would vertigo, and I had hearing loss. I had all sorts of things that I do believe were caused by the stress of my self-deprecating thoughts. So that was that kind of keying into that cause of, there's physical outside of ourselves causes, then there's inside of ourselves causes. And I believe the most important inside of our self cause is the self-deprecation that we tend to do. I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough. Maybe somebody, a parent or somebody said, oh, you're just a mess, this isn't okay, you're not good, da da da. So then you start internalizing that and saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not a good person, I'm bad, and I'm not creative, or I'm not talented, or I'll never succeed, or whatever it is we say to ourselves. So I came to the realization that the biggest, most important thing we can do to support our positive mental health is to feel good about ourselves, to appreciate ourselves. And that's when I became very aware of us as human beings, as divine beings. We're all children of a divine creator. We're all part of this earth. We're part of the beauty of the creation. We have a role to play. We each are given gifts and talents. We have a place where we fit. We have ways to serve, and how we can help others, how we can help the planet, how we can help other people in our close life and in our more distant, people around the planet. So looking to see how we might be able to serve others is a very important thing that kind of can help shift you out of that poor me part of it. So depression is real. It's not something that you can just easily make go away. I do accept the fact that medication can help some people, but I also know that ideally we want to do as much as we can without resorting to medication, not wanting to put it down in any way if it's necessary. But I do believe that depression can often come from, first of all, it can come from perhaps a difficult family upbringing, and maybe lack of love or lack of support through sometimes abandonment, obviously abuse, if you're in an abusive or an addictive kind of family with alcoholism or anything like that, or heaven forbid some physical abuse or sexual abuse. Oh my gosh, those things are really going to land deep inside your soul. And so until you deal with them in a healthy way, they're always going to be kind of pulling and nagging on you. I have heard, and I haven't done it myself, but I have heard very good things about the 12-step programs that Alcoholics Anonymous and addictions, they help families as well as the person addicted. I know that is one of the groups and systems that actually has been shown to be very, very successful in helping people overcome those addictions, but also not just that, say, maybe you didn't have the addiction, but you were around a family that had it, or maybe you were a lost child, or you were a neglected, abused child, or something like that. So again, you've got a deep thing inside of you that needs to be healed. So the more you can work with professionals, therapists, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and these programs where they're free. They often in churches, they meet in churches. They're, places where people can go where other people of like mind who've had difficulties in that same area, they're sharing their stories. And once PTSD, when soldiers come back from war, whether they were actually wounded or not, they may be mentally wounded, and that's a very intense, deep, personal thing that they need to deal with. And so the more they can relate to people who've also gone through what they're going through, it's going to be much more effective than somebody like me saying, oh, hey, you're fine, just get over it. That's not going to help. We need support. We need people who understand our situation. So take it seriously. Depression is a very, very serious mental, I don't even want to call it illness. It's just a condition that does occur, and it needs to be dealt with. And there are so many wonderful tools. In our case, We like to share what we've been learning about music and meditation and mantra, positive affirmations, visualization. One thing we have definitely learned about the mind is that it can really get into a loop. It can get into a tape loop where if we let it, it may repeat a negative concept about ourselves over and over and over again, and we just can't get it out. Well, there are ways to get it out, and one of the ways that we like to offer is through affirmations and through mantra, which means a repeated mantra in Sanskrit simply means mind protection. So what am I protecting my mind from? I'm protecting my mind from myself, from my own repeated either memories or from something somebody told me or something that's become ingrained in me. So somehow to work on replacing those negative thoughts with positive ones. And it can be as simple as, I am alive. I am alive. Or it could be, I am peace, or I am love, or the world is supporting me, or, however that works out, to create a positive affirmation to replace the negative one. There's very little else that I've found that can help me get rid of those negative thoughts. So dogs barking. Hey, it's just a dog. I don't know if you can hear that dog. My neighbor's dog. That could be something too. Maybe the dog drives you crazy. The dog. And then you just start singing to yourself like, hey, life is beautiful. It's okay. It's okay. Be your own parent. If you weren't parented in the perfect way, and most of us weren't, be your own parent. Be the parent of your child self. Be the parent of your magical child and help your magical child to grow up. And encourage your child, your inner child, to express themselves, be clear. Oh boy, self-expression, there's just hardly anything that's going to beat that. To be able to express yourself. And I don't mean letting it all out and blasting out at somebody. To me, that's not a healthy way of expressing. I think it's it's a natural way, but we're not trying to just blast out by expressing ourselves. We want to be honest and kind. So the more we can speak our truth clearly and kindly, this is the fifth chakra. I speak my truth clearly and kindly. So that's important to be able to do. But speak your truth to yourself. Yourself is the one that needs to hear this beautiful story about who you are. I am a child of the divine. I am a beautiful creation of God and the goddess, and I am open to suggestion. I'm open to divine wisdom, and however you want to express your prayers or your intention or whatever you want to call it. It's not esoteric. It's just simply, what are you telling yourself? So I say, watch your language. And the more you can notice what your language is saying, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Oh, something's wrong with me. I'll never make it. That's you telling yourself that. So get over that part of it, replace it with a positive, and see how it goes. And I'd love to hear from you how ways that you found to deal with depression or to deal with inner anxiety or that sort of thing, because we are powerful beings. We're powerful beyond measure, and we can overcome anything, no matter what. I mean, I've heard stories of people who've had terrible, terrible upbringings and awful abuse, and they've come out of it and they rise to the occasion to become wonderful, good people, and then they often become people who serve others. And that's, I think, something that can make you really give you a sense of fulfillment if you can help another person. So when you're feeling down and out, perhaps you might want to look at being of service to someone else that is even a little more down and out than you are, and lift them up. And even if it's just a child or a kitty cat or something, just give that love. And I have a feeling you'll be pleasantly surprised that it isn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of a mystery. But it is something that you need to apply yourself to, and you need to intend that this is how you're going to move forward and not become a victim. We are not victims. So visit our website, our blog, soundings.com, comment on our post, and we would love to hear how you found works for you to deal with anything that is holding you back from being the very best you can be.